So there is a secret to amazing, tremendous growth that's often overlooked, and it's right before us. And it's called our relationships. And that's what we're going to be talking about today as we put another peg, another piece of the puzzle on how we remain consistent and how we set ourselves up for success. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode, and I'm excited that you're here. Thank you for joining me for my 100-day walk to consistency. We are on day number 51, y'all. And today we are once again working in that space to say, how do we be successful? How can we be successful? And it has to do with relationships. So thank you for joining me. We're going to go ahead and work on being successful. Remember, consistency is your superpower. It is that thing that you can do that sets you up for success. Make sure you join me as we continue this trek. Let's go ahead. I'll see you on the walk. All right, so we're talking about relationships and how relationships can enhance our personal growth. And the first thing to do is to understand relationships and understand that they're not just these casual things that we have. There are lots of different types of relationships, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But relationships are not just social structure. They are places for growth, for enhancement, for security. If we think back to how relationships have worked in the past, you can imagine a family structure, mom, dad, some kids, that whole idea, 1.5 kids and a dog and a picket fence. But that is a fundamental social structure that we have. All right, that's a family. There are communal social structures. So at one time, different families got together, and that was for security, for the use of resources, for encouragement, for so many different things that they got benefit from in terms of being together. So lots of different reasons why social structures came about. So each relationship we nurture holds a potential for helping us move down the road to success and move down the road to consistency. They can help push us beyond what we thought we could do. I was in my office just a little while ago, and I was talking to someone that was there about how we manage some of the illnesses that we have. And often we have said to ourselves, and there's this push, and I understand it, I believe, this push for independence, that we are self-sufficient. But I think more and more I'm beginning to realize that some of that self-sufficiency that we talk about is not necessarily all good. So relationships are an amazing way, an amazing place that can help us to be, to continue to be successful and to help us along our journey. So I started mentioning a little bit about the different type of social structures. So there are family and friends. And so this is for community, this is for connection. Remember, we are built for community. We are built for connections. Now, there are cases, for whatever reason, where someone has developed a like for or a penchant for being by themselves. But this is typically something that's learned. By nature, we are built for connection. We're built for that interaction. So family and friends, that's the first place. And then there are professional relationships that we have. When I was in medical school, I had a study group. In fact, when I got to medical school, they broke us into different groups. When we were in anatomy lab, and so we were responsible, that group was responsible for a particular table, and so our job was to do our dissections, and we worked with each other to identify and to come up with the things that we needed to do and learn during the exam. And as I've gone through education in lots of different places, there were those study groups that I had. When I got to medical school, got to residency, and I became a part of a team. I became a part of a professional team, a community that was responsible for taking care of patients during that month. And then I became a chief resident, and so part of my job now was to help coordinate, work with faculty, work with our residents, and then fellowship. And ultimately, so I'm developing all of these professional relationships. But the point is that there are lots of different relationships that we will have beyond the family structure. So these all provide support, like I said, security. They provide resources. They provide some freshness with my friends. And I've mentioned here that I recently came back from a trip, and I have a couple of groups that I get together with on a yearly basis. Obviously, my family and I do things together, and that is to build memories, build fun, so that our days and our weeks and our months are not just, we're kind of plodding through each of the day, but we're actually doing things as a family that keeps us connected, keeps us committed, keeps us having fun. With my friends, I have a group that I get together with in December. Looking forward to that. And then I get a group that I get together with during my birthday month. And so each of those provides a different, something different for me. And then, of course, here on the channel, I have my membership group, my community, and I have you. Okay, so all of those are providing different needs, and they're fulfilling different requirements. One of the challenges that we sometimes find ourselves in is that we expect a single relationship to meet all the needs that we have throughout our lives and at different times. Now, I'll tell you, our romantic relationships are supposed to be pretty exciting, and they're supposed to meet a lot of our needs for connection, for understanding, for just security sometimes. But I cannot rely on my wife to fulfill all of my needs. I got some guy friends, right? That we do guy things. She doesn't do guy things. And so if I expect her to do those things, then I'm setting myself up for success, for disappointment, and I'm setting her up for failure, right? Because I'm going to be wanting her to get out there and throw a ball when she doesn't. Like one of the things I used to do, not as much, so I got to get back in there. Maybe I'll do this as a show, is play racquetball, play handball. When I grew up, that was the thing. And I remember when I first got married or first started dating my wife, I would take her to the racquetball court. It wasn't her thing, okay? And so I had to find some other people to play racquetball with. So, but you get the idea, right? Each of the relationships that we're in, each of them will fulfill a particular need, but relying on a relationship to fulfill all of our needs is setting yourself up for frustration and setting the person that you're in a relationship with for difficulty and for challenges. And then these relationships also give us a different perspective. There are times when something's going on and I grab the phone and I pick it up and I call one of my friends. And it's interesting that depending on where I am, where my mind is, and sometimes even what I want to hear, I'll call one friend or another. And so I'll have one of the guys who'll say to me, he's like, well, you knew not to call me because I was going to say to you da da da. And I knew that, which is the reason I didn't call that person. Right? So in your circle, in your group, even professionally, right? There are a couple of amazing endocrinologists here in town, and also where I trained, or even the people I trained with in my residency. It's not uncommon for me to just drop a question in the chat, or we have a group that we belong, that we all kind of talk together, and I'll drop it in and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or I have this question, or what's some advice you can give me here? So all of those are amazing, and those are friends, those are professional connections. So amazing. Okay, so what are some benefits? And we've already alluded to many of those, right? We've already alluded to many of the benefits that we get from relationships. Number one, it enhances our emotional resilience. So when you have a firm foundation, like yesterday we talked about that ball, that blow up doll that you hit down. I gotta find the name of that thing, right? When the foundation is good, when the foundation is strong, it almost doesn't even matter what knocks you down, right? Because you're coming back, you're bouncing back. So resilience. So when we have good relationships, those relationships act as a foundation for us. It helps to build part of our foundation. And so when we get knocked down, the relationship is there to catch us. I remember there was a time when I was going through some stuff in my life, and I just really needed support. And I picked up my phone and I called a bunch of guys, and there was actually two of them. And I called them up and I said, hey, I need us to start meeting. And we met together every Wednesday for 12 years. Every Wednesday night we were on the phone talking to each other. And we lived in different places, right? We would see each other. So it wasn't like, only time we saw each other or talked to each other was on the phone, but we would see each other. But every Wednesday we were in that place. And our wives knew, our kids knew that, hey, Daddy's on the phone. So it helps us with resilience. It also allows us to handle stress more readily, and I want to say easier, but for lack of a better word, easier. Because those relationships allow us to, it allows us to bring some calm into our lives. Because that's what relationships do. When I tell my folks at the office, my team, I'll say to them, I'm excited when you are good here at the office. But I'm even more excited when you're good in your personal life. Because when you're good in your personal life, when things are going well at home, when you and your kids are doing fine, you and your husband not fighting and arguing about everything, when your finances are good, when your health is good, when you show up to work, guess what? That's the person I get. That's the person who comes. But if everything outside of here is terrible, when you show up here, we're not getting the best of you. Okay? So I talk to them all the time about making sure that they're doing what they need to do in their personal lives so that they are good, right? And so I don't want to just make it sound selfish that we're getting the benefit. They're getting the benefit as well, but we are getting the overflow. Oh yeah, I need to do a show on that one. We're getting the overflow of the stuff that's been going on. And I love overflow because overflow means that everything else is functioning well, okay? Gotta work on some overflow for myself, right? So I can do some things. Okay, so anyway, so we get emotional resilience, we handle stress, we handle setbacks better. Knowing you have someone to turn to can make all the difference in the world, right? So I can tolerate this. I can get through this. I can handle this because in a minute, I'm getting ready to leave. I'm going home to my wife. I'm getting ready to leave. I'm going to go talk to my son. I'm going to tell you, there are times when I've had one of those days and I get in my car and I do a kind of check-in at the end of the day with myself before I leave the office. And I get in my car, and one of the questions in my little check-in that I do on my app It says, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for today? And as soon as that question comes up, the first two things I put there, I'm thankful for my wife, I'm thankful for my son. And it's almost uncanny that as I say that, even I've had a crazy day, even though maybe me and my wife have had some challenges that morning or that day or whenever, right? As soon as those things go in, I start to smile because there's this calm that comes over me because I'm getting ready to go be with my people, right? That's my tribe. And so it allows us to be resilient, allows us to be able to tolerate things more, knowing that you have someone who's there to support you, right? So it's an opportunity of feedback and growth because sometimes we don't grow because we don't have people that will give us honest feedback and people that are concerned about us enough to not let us do the crazy stuff without just watching, right? So one, they're there and they see us, they're not gonna let us go down like that because they're gonna pull you aside and say, hey, wait. Excuse me. I'm gonna say, hey, I notice X, Y, and Z, and let me talk to you about that for a minute, okay? So they're not gonna let us just do craziness. Number two, they're gonna approach us in a way that is conducive for us to hear the criticism, for us to hear the counsel, because they have our heart. They have us, our best interests in their hearts, okay? So they're gonna come to us in a way that we can hear. And so we're able to grow because we have these people that are speaking into us that will say, hey, no. So going back to my group, my friends, there's sometimes I just want to be like I am. I don't want to hear it. I'm upset. I want to stay where I am. And so I'll call and I'll be voicing, venting. And one of my friends, he will say, well, and sometimes I get upset because I'm like, I'm not looking for you to give me the other side. Right now, I just need you to listen to me. I need you to jump in here with me. I need you to, right? And what's great about my guys is that they know when it's appropriate for them to just be quiet and let me go through my thing. Let me vent and say what I'm saying. And then they'll say, hey, man, I feel you. I hear you. We need to deal with that. We need to take care of that. But they'll also say, hey, have you thought about this, right? Have you looked at it this way? And so they're able to speak to me on both those levels because they are connected to me. And I know they have my best interest in heart. So I grow, I improve because I have that group. I have those friends with me, okay? It also provides a basis for new learning and self-improvement. So these same guys, right, we got a group me, and a bunch of ways to communicate with each other. But I'll get one of them that will send out a text about, hey, have you guys looked at this? Have you thought about this? And so now we'll go look at that, and we'll, read it, and we'll come back and say, so there's one we know he always is gonna send us some stuff. You know who you are. Always send us some stuff. But that's great because all of us don't have the time. And so sometimes it's, hey man, I didn't know about that. As a matter of fact, we were on our trip this couple weeks ago. And on the trip, we were talking about some stuff that I'm doing now because one of them pointed it out to me. And now I've incorporated it into what I do. Now, you also gotta be careful because when you get with people, you end up spending money. So I'm spending some money right now, but it's fun. It's fun, okay? So benefits. So then, what do we do when we talk about cultivating? How do we cultivate relationships that promote growth. What does that look like? Right? Number one, we want to look for relationships and begin making connections, and we want to foster meaningful connections. Okay? I'll have to admit that one of my challenges has been making those connections as an adult, right? Because when we're younger, there are some built-in opportunities for connections, right? So you're in school, so you meet some people. So there's some folks I know that are friends of mine because we met each other. You meet people at church. You meet people when you're training. Meet people on your job. And so those are the built-in connections. Well, outside of those, sometimes it's difficult to make connections. And once again, this is not in my list, but maybe I need to go back and do a show where we talk about how do we go about doing that? What does that look like, right? And do we've got some things that we're going to be talking about, but do a deep dive into making friends as an adult, right? Because that can be challenging. But anyway, so seek out and foster meaningful connections. That's the first way. So you got to start looking around, right? Where can I find these places? What can I find those? And I've got some ideas here in just a minute. Actively look for relationships that challenge and complement your strengths. When I'm training my medical students that are rotated through the office, one of the things I say to them is, your job is to surround yourself with people who do things better than you. Right? So in my office, in what I do, there are some folks that are great at things that I'm not necessarily good at. And I look for those people. Because if I'm the smartest person in the room, I need to find a different room. Right? So you want to begin surrounding yourself with people who do things better than you. And if you do that, then you'll be successful. How are you? Right? Don't be so high-minded that you think you have to be the expert on everything. Right? You're going to be expert on some things, but there's always going to be somebody who's better at you at something. Right? So the things that you're good at, great. But applaud the people around you that are doing other things that that do it better than you, right? So look for relationships that challenge you and set you up for growth. Engage with people who encourage you and people who constructively critique you. Don't be in a room with people who are always telling you yes. I'm pausing right there. Right, so that's not the room you want to be in. Now, you may like that room because, you get to be the it. You get to be the boss. You get to be the whatever. But people who are always telling you yes aren't necessarily interested in your growth. They're just afraid of you for whatever reason, right? Maybe you're the boss. Maybe you signed a check. Maybe you're their supervisor. Maybe you do their evaluation. Maybe you have the money. Whatever it is, right? Surround yourself with people who are going to critique you honestly, give you constructive criticism, of course, in a safe space. And how do we nurture relationships? We want to invest time and energy into relationships. If you're going to nurture relationships, these have to be relationships that you are having touch points with on a ready, continual basis. It can't be, every now and then we're going to talk. It can't be every now and then we're going whatever, right? You have to have regular, consistent touch points with the people that you are talking about having relationships with. Invest time, invest energy into the relationships. So once again, regular interactions, and you want to have shared experiences, which means that there are some times where you're going to have to plan something so that you are building an experience. One of the things that we are intentional about doing with my son and with my wife is that we are creating experiences for him. When we travel, right, we do a family outing that we do every year at the same time. And that's a tradition that he's gotten used to. We have a trip that we do. His birthday is at the beginning of the week. Our anniversary is the end of the week. So we do a trip, right, where we celebrate him and then we celebrate each other. We have times that we are doing some activities that begin to create memories for him, right? So one of the things I mentioned, or I may have not have mentioned it, is that we're trying to see all the NBA teams at home, see them play at home. So on his computer, on his phone, he has a list of all the places, all the teams that we've seen, at home, and we're working through that list, right? So we get excited when we get to, like, if we're going on a trip, the question is, hey, while we're on this trip, is there a way where we can see a team at home play a game, right? We were in New York a little while ago, and we thought we were going to be able to do that, but it didn't quite work out. But it's an experience. It's a shared experience that we have, and that builds connection, okay? And then open communications to build deeper connection. This is that vulnerability that we talked about in one of our episodes. If you're going to build relationships that are genuinely supportive, if you're going to have people around you that are going to be part of your team, the team that helps you to be successful, then you have to be vulnerable. And so once again, safety, you want to find people that are safe that you can be vulnerable with. And then you want mutual respect and you want understanding. So when you have those relationships, and now we're coming to talk about personal relationships, right? This is outside of your professional relationships. This is like your group, your crew, right? Those people where you're going to be, okay, this is it, me and you, all the way. Then those people you have to trust, and they have to trust you. And you have to be trustworthy so that when you are having conversations with them, they know that this is not going to show up in another space, okay? So with my friends, right, we talk all the time about including other people in our group. And one of the reasons that we are very cautious is that these guys, they know me. I know them. They know stuff about me that nobody else on the planet knows, right? And so you've got to make sure that you are in a space that is safe. Okay. So what are some strategies for leveraging relationships for personal growth? What are some strategies for leveraging relationships for personal growth? Number one, you want to create a growth-oriented network. Growth-oriented network. So there are relationships that you're going to have, and those relationships are simply just people that you talk to, and it's like, hey, we get together. Maybe we are connecting around a game, connecting about a shared experience. We all like baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. But you want to make sure that your network is growth oriented. You surround yourself with individuals, with people who embody the traits that you want. I want people around me that have a growth mindset. I don't need people around me with fixed mindsets. Because when I say I want to move, when I say I want to expand, I don't need any naysayers. Sometimes I need people who push me along to say, when I start having doubts, I need somebody to say, no, you can do this. We said you're going to do this. I don't need anybody who's saying, yeah, man, that's not going to work, right? Now, once again, I talked about being honest, but you get the idea, right? You want growth-oriented people. So their influence can inspire and motivate you, or their influence can be detrimental. Well, I say both, and now there are five of us now? 6 of us in different networks, 6 in one and 4 in the other. And I can drop something right now in one of those groups. Say, man, I've been thinking about this thing and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know if that's for me or whether I have the right skills, and I start going on and lamenting, and somebody will come back and say something like, hey man, how do you know until you try? If it doesn't work, we can always do something else, but don't not do it because you're afraid of it. Right? And those are the people I want. Notice I said them the people. Those are the people I want. I want them in my group. Engage in collaborative learning, right? So we're talking about what do we do? How do we leverage relationships for personal growth? Engage in collaborative learning. There are some groups that I belong to simply because I want to be in the same space with the people that are in that group. Now, I'm not asking them for anything. I bring value to that group, but just being around those people, right? And working with them and providing benefit and being in their circle and collaborating with them on different tasks is a learning experience. Often we think about the value as money, but there is so much value in just relationships, so much value in being known, so much value in just watching how certain people do certain things. And I'm excited about that. And I love it. I love being in that space. And it's not that I show up in that space and I'm kind of leeching off of them, or it is I'm bringing value. And matter of fact, I'm looking for ways to improve the group. I'm looking for ways to bring value to that situation because I know that the benefit I'm getting from being there is so huge that I want to infuse back into that group the value and benefit so that other people can begin learning. Okay? So begin working in collaborative places. Initiate or join groups. So start a group or join a group that focuses on mutual respect, mutual benefit, focuses on growth, and focuses on some of the things that you want to do. Okay? 100-day walk to consistency. Hey, this is a group right here. I'm glad that you're here, right? You know, our online community. These are people who are working to improve their health, working to take charge of their lives so that they can avoid complications and go to the next level. So find those groups, join those groups, initiate those groups, okay? And these things that we're doing are fostering growth. So you're gonna have to do some searching, right? We're gonna learn, we're gonna find, hey, where are some places that I can go? Who are some people around me, right? Because often we sit down and we expect those things to come right to us and they don't always come. We've got to go looking for them. All right. And so, you know, we can't ever stop. We can't ever end without a challenge. And here's the challenge for today. Number 1, get your journal. All right. So I'm hoping to start saying that every time we get to a challenge. Get your journal and begin writing. Here's it is. You ready? Reach out to somebody today. Somebody that has brought value to your life. Find someone and say to them, hey, I don't know if I've ever told you that I really appreciate, and go ahead and tell them what they did, how that impacted you, what change it's made with you. You're not looking for them to say thank you. You're not looking for them to enhance what they've done. You're not looking for anything else. All you're doing is simply saying to them, I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate what value you bring, okay? So make sure you reach out to someone today, not tomorrow, today. Someone that's been instrumental in your personal growth. Number 2, look for someone who inspires you. Look for someone who inspires you and begin working on cultivating a relationship with them. Reach out to them. Let them know that they inspire you. Reach out to them to let them know that you like X, Y, Z about them. Reach out to them, let them know how what they do is impacting you. That's the first step. And then begin working on, okay, how do I cultivate a relationship? The first touch point is to simply say, hey, I saw this, I saw you, I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for being impactful in my life. Okay, first thing. And then document. So write the person that you're gonna say thank you to, document that, document what you said, document their responses and how you felt afterwards. And then write the person that you are going to begin initiating a relationship with. When did you contact them? What did you tell them you like? And what is going to be my strategy for developing that relationship? And then reflect on how that makes you feel. What does it look like? What does it feel like for you to have taken those steps? Amazing, amazing, amazing. Man, can I say it? Should I say it? You know what I'm going to say. This is one of my favorite conversations. I know, you knew I was going there, right? But it is so pivotal, the relationships that we have. And sometimes we ignore them, and they are a perfect place to help us grow. This is great. I'm excited that you have joined me for another day, another episode of our 100-day walk to consistency. We are moving along. Make sure you're doing the challenges. Make sure you're doing the workbook. Remember, the challenge on a piece of paper, on the video, is just theory. It does not take life. It does not get enhanced. It does not begin to work if you are not taking action. So don't wait. Don't wait. Begin taking action today. And join me as once again, we add another piece to the puzzle as we move into this second half of our 100-day walk to consistency. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you on the walk.